Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the long-awaited Episode 8 of Ask IOG, the show where we answer community questions submitted by the ItsObviousGaming community. Jacob, it has been absurdly too long. I mean, almost offensively too long. We've kept people waiting, and believe it or not, we have questions potentially in this episode. We actually wound up collecting, I think, 2 to 3 episodes worth, so you can count on an Ask IOG episode, presumably over the next few weeks, which is great. But we're going to try to squeeze in as many as we can today. But the reason we collected so many is because I rifled through our backlog that I hadn't been in a while. And it's just a jungle in there, Jacob. And I scrounged up some that are still relevant 2.5 years later. I'm not kidding, Jacob. We have some that are from January of 2017 in our list today.
Do you think these people are still listening?
Some of them are, I know for a fact. Others may not be. But we'll see. Maybe Ask IOG will draw them back in. And some of these people may not even remember writing these questions, which is hilarious. But I'm starting with the most recent and working backwards.
Okay.
So our list is big. We're going to do it for about an hour and a half because today we're going to do Ask IOG, take a little break, and then we're going to do episode 210 of the It's Obvious podcast right after that.
That's correct.
So it's a jam-packed morning of podcasting, but we got coffee in hand. Ton of fun questions. We're so excited for you guys to join us, and thank you again in advance for your continued support of this community. We're so excited to have you.
Indeed.
But Jacob, we don't want to waste any time. We'll ramble and do our spiel on the It's Obvious podcast. So without further ado, let's begin with Ace of Spades, who we've kept waiting for 2 weeks now on the podcast. So Ace,
let's do it.
We're here for you, man. Actually, let me pull up our list here
Okay.
on my phone. It's a little easier to read. All right, Ace. Here we go, my friend. Ace writes in and says, "Howdy, gamers. Preston the Snorlax, Dad the Garrett, and Papa Alka." I guess Papa is superior to Dad.
I guess.
I would say it is. Alka, this week I got 2 questions. Something to spice it up. First question. I've been playing a lot of Warframe, and aside from this, I may be a little dyslexic this morning. Warframe.
Or just an
idiot.
idiot.
This aside from, of course, the beautiful Hunt Showdown, and they changed it a lot. It's actually fun now, and I say it, and there's a lot to the game now in content and grinding than I experienced. Now the reason for this is because the community has put an impact on the game itself, and the developers have listened to every word the community has ever said. Half the Warframes have been removed or have been reworked, and it's amazing. Hell, they're even adding a new Warframe that eats enemies for dinner. Now, I call that a brunch, but wouldn't it be nice if other studios like Bungie, Ubisoft, etc. took this accomplishment and learned from it? Yes, The Division 2 was great, and Destiny 2 has gone a good path after Activision, but what are your thoughts? Maybe the Warframe developers can come together with these studios and come up with ideas, etc. Tell Spicy Boys, what do you think? All right, so that's the first question, Jacob.
Okay.
Do you think that studios can learn from the success of, I don't even know the name of a Warframe studio, but the way they've, radically evolved their game and the achievements they've had with their community being so, receptive to what they've done. And I've clearly loved it because that game has thrived since the beginning, it seems. Mm-hmm. I've never played it. Did you and Preston both dabble in that or just Preston?
I have never downloaded it. So I've played even less than you.
I actually remember playing, I think it was like the first month of PS4, there was nothing to play. So I downloaded it. And this is obviously like vanilla Warframe at the time.
Yeah, vanilla.
I played it for less than 10 minutes and was instantly bored, but I know the game has changed significantly since then, so it's not fair to me to say that. But it's hard to say because the majority of the games that I've stuck to that I really adore, notably like he mentions Hunt Showdown, has been similar to Warframe in a sense where it has evolved significantly since its initial early access period began. So I won't ramble on Hunt as I usually do, but that's one of a few examples that I could say that they've taken a similar approach to listen to community feedback and of course implement their own ideas, but along with the community, I think Hunt Showdown is a prime example of what you can achieve through early access. And thankfully, it didn't drag on for too long because the 1.0 version is launching very shortly. And although I hate the new UI and the menus that I experienced in the test server, aside from that, it seems like it's going to be really cool. So, Bungie, maybe. Bungie seems to, especially since, like you said, the breakup with Activision, they seem to be doing a good job of updating.
Yeah, Bungie's actually, I think, doing a really, really good job right now. They just actually delayed their latest expansion. And that's definitely something they haven't done since Activision was a part of the team. So And then, like, you can just tell by their messaging and like how transparent they are with their messaging towards their community now, especially in their TWABs, their This Week at Bungie. I still read those, by the way. I'm always still trying to keep somewhat up to date with Destiny because, a part of me still really loves that franchise. And I am going to jump back in when Shadowkeep launches in October now. They moved it back to, I think, October 1st. So
nice.
I think that's actually really good, by the way, because it moved it out of that week with Borderlands. And there's another game, I think, coming out that week too. But just give Borderlands a little space, let it breathe, let it, do its thing. Then you swoop back in Destiny, recapture all those longtime fans with a good experience on the moon. I'm ready for it, but
the moon.
But yeah, I think everyone is watching Warframe because a lot of people do seem really high on that game in terms of just what you said, Ace, in terms of how all the developers are listening to their community and making changes that they want, and it's players are excited to come back and play the game. Shocker, a studio doing what the players want,
Yeah,
that's something Destiny didn't do for a very long time. But I think slowly Bungie has learned. I can't really speak to Ubisoft and the Division 2 team because I'm not really invested in that game at all. So I don't think you are either, Garrett. So
yeah, I'm not. But I will say, I think inherently Warframe success will, I don't know, necessarily inspire, but definitely to some extent, I imagine, capture the attention of many development studios.
Sure.
They will see the success that indie game has had and want to reciprocate that with their own communities and their own games. So I think even without, like Ace says, like, oh, what if Warframe developers kind of almost did like a seminar of sorts with these other studios, teach them the ways of properly evolving your game and implementing community feedback. I imagine just inherently studios will see the success of that and want to reciprocate it.
For sure.
But
I think you would be very ignorant to think that all these games as a service, or I guess shared world shooter games is a better word for it, aren't watching each other and what each other are doing. Like, just like how Fortnite is stealing all these ideas from like Apex Legends. Like, obviously they're watching their competition and they're implementing things that they think would work in their own game that other games do. That's just smart.
Definitely. I agree. Ace, thank you for question number 1. Question number 2 is a little more on the side of Ask IOG, or the style we go for with the show. He says, second question is, what are the greatest memories of you working a job, from experiencing the dumbest things or the most unbelievable things? I remember for me, when I was closing for the store I worked for and some guy was in the woman's restroom with an air compressor, hugging it and being high, naked, and the cops came in and took him. But not even 5 minutes into that, there was a crackhead trying to climb the side of the store saying it was time to go to space. Thank you for your appreciation of my questions, boys, and stay meaty and spicy as always.
Well, I'm trying to go to space.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty unforgettable experience to have at work when you're closing. Man,
I don't know if I have any fun work stories.
I just feel like memorable work stories. I don't know if I have any crazy ones. I remember when you and I worked at GameStop.
Yeah,
we all watched the Force Awakens teaser trailer when it first came out.
Did I always remember that too? I don't know why.
I don't know why. I think it's just because it was that moment in time where Star Wars had been away for a while and everyone was so excited.
Yeah.
And I reflect on that now and I'm kind of sad, the state of things. But that moment in particular, I remember watching the teaser trailer and it was like all 5 of us were there.
Yeah. It was a big moment though, because like we hadn't seen Star Wars since we were kids. Because what was it? Return of the Sith was the last one.
Did you say Return of the Sith? Zach would be truly appalled right now.
Revenge of the Sith, sorry.
Yeah, there we go. It is early.
I was thinking of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, but no, you're right. It had been a very long time, and I'll never forget just our reaction. I almost cried watching that teaser trailer.
Mm-hmm. It was beautiful.
It was very impactful, so I remember that.
First time I saw Kylo's lightsaber ignite in the forest, I was on board.
Yeah, all of us were like, oh my gosh. Never forget that. I mean, I have a bunch of interesting experiences from doing sound for so long, but nothing, oddly enough, too crazy. Why can't I think of anything? I mean, I basically got fired from American Eagle. I think I've told that story in the podcast because you and Preston came in on Black Friday repeatedly to talk to me. And I remember they told me after the first time you came in, you were talking to me for a while, and then we had those earpieces we wore. Didn't you work at American Eagle for a while too?
Yeah, the one in Alpharetta.
Yeah. So those earpieces they have you wear, and you can communicate the whole time you're on the floor.
Yeah.
Well, they're like, Garrett, who are those guys? You need to get back to work. I'm like, sorry. And I was trying to like talk to you guys and work at the same time. Like I was folding pants. It wasn't like I was doing
them that we were
anything.
Customers.
I tried, but I think they could tell that we knew each other. So I was like, all right, sorry. They're like, all right, you need to go help so-and-so, like we'll just call her Cassandra for now. Like you need to go help Cassandra in a few minutes fold those shirts over there. But we'll let you know. She's fine for now, but you might have to go help her in a minute because it's getting busy over there. I was like, all right. So I go back to work, and like half an hour later, you guys waltz back in there and start talking to me again. And you're like, dude, it sucks that you're working. We could have gone to a movie or something. I was like, yeah, I know it sucks. And you guys talk to me, and finally they come over to the earpiece again, and they're like, Garrett, you can go ahead and go now. And I was like, oh, okay. So I walk over to Cassandra and start helping her fold clothes. And they're like, no, Garrett, you can just leave on the earpiece. I was like, oh, are you sure? They're like, yeah, you can just go home. I was like, all right. So I didn't think anything of it at the time. So I left and met you guys. And it wound up being a great night because Preston, I think it was around the time of my birthday, Preston had bought me the new Dragon Ball Z game.
Okay.
So I had that. And I think we did wind up going to see a movie that night. So it was a great Black Friday, but they never scheduled me again. My mom convinced me that I needed to write a letter of resignation anyway. I had been scheduled in like 3 weeks. So
a letter of resignation to American Eagle.
I remember walking into American Eagle 3 weeks after I hadn't been scheduled. And the manager was in the back office. I was like, hey, I just wanted to be, like professional and properly say that I'm just not going to be available anymore. And she's looking at me like dead silent the whole time. And I hand her my letter of resignation. I'm like, here's my letter stating why I'm leaving. And she just stared at me. She's like, all right, thanks. And I left.
I cannot believe you did that.
Yeah, well, my mom told me I needed to do it. So it was
hilarious.
You
got to do it then.
I professionally ended my career at American Eagle. That was very short-lived. I was there for like 3 months.
That is
I was
ridiculous.
at GameStop for about 3 months and American Eagle for 3 months. And those were the only 2 jobs I ever had that weren't either video or audio related. So good times, man. It was that weird time in between high school and community college. So
yeah,
I'll never forget that. There's got to be something wild. I'll tell it on the podcast. It's a little more relevant. But I talked to a guy last night that was a drummer for an Elvis tribute. That was just a fascinating human being. He has had a whole lot of wild life experience that I think is going to amuse a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I'll save that for the podcast. Do you have any other crazy work stories? There's got to be some.
I had something that happened Monday this last week.
Is this your engine breaking down? Did you already tell the story?
How'd you know this already?
You told it on the podcast.
Oh yeah, we recorded it after Monday.
Yeah.
Shit. Well, I guess I don't have anything. But yeah,
I have nothing like the crackheads, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can't think of anything, man. I'm boring.
Yeah, I got nothing for work, unfortunately. But Ace, thank you so much for your questions, my friend. Merlin420 writes in and says, how's it going down there, boys? Your best Canuck accent. I can't do a Canadian accent too well, but I can say sorry. I hear that a lot. And oh yeah. I can do that pretty well. A big hello again from the expansive prairies of Canada. Or Canada. Just heard your call to action that you were running out of community questions. It's funny, I said that, and then I go through our backlog and find like 25 ones that we can still use. So I apologize, but we appreciate all the new ones. Glad to hear Preston is still alive. Or is he? It's a question I'm still asking myself. And even happier for you, Garrett, that you get to have some time to enjoy your passion. Well, I'm also happy about that, Merlin. Thank you. A couple things I got to say. First off, Jacob, your streams have made me into a better Apex player. So I owe you at least a few wins, Jedi Master Stinky Ringus. Garrett, I think you should give Days Gone a crack. I absolutely fell in love with the atmosphere and the freaker horde mechanics. We still need to play some Hunt as well. I don't think I've added you on Steam yet, Merlin. I need to do that. And Preston, hearing about your stretch of overtime, I'm curious, what do you do for work? If you don't mind me asking. Now for all three of you, being that it is summer being that it is summer, what are your favorite summer games / sports? I'm talking cornhole, croquet, frisbee, beersby, lawn darts, beer darts, or perhaps maintaining a nice white complexion while crushing vids in the coolness of AC. Keep up the great work, you gaming gods. And P.S. I for one am loyal to Jacob in respect of the Zach Garrett dynamic. And I mean, have you seen how much he can lift?
Thank you.
Peace. Bye.
Thank you. Your voice has been heard, and it will not be in vain. Garrett needs to be stopped. He's ridiculous. He talks to all these men, and he never gives me the time of day like I deserve.
Well, I talked to you and Zach.
Let's start a hashtag. Hashtag. Oh God, what should it be?
Hashtag embrace the Rangus.
Yes, embrace thy Rangus.
Love the Rangus. Favorite summer sports, Jacob? I like a good match of cornhole. I get bored of cornhole after about 5 minutes, but I'll play a round or two.
Yeah, I really like croquet. I never play it, but it's always been one of my favorite games to play.
That bores me a bit too, if I'm being honest.
Are you kidding me? You haven't
played
it's a
little high class for me. It's a little bougie for me.
I mean, not really.
Jonathan, it's been a rough day at the office. How about you and I grab a couple beers, a couple cigars, and go play a couple rounds of croquet?
Sounds like a hell of a time to me.
We're wearing our Doc Martens and some high-waisted shorts, like khaki shorts, and polo shirts tucked in with braided belts. And I've combed my hair over, and I have my my very expensive Ray-Bans on. Mm-hmm. And we talk business and talk about the absurdities of the workplace while we play croquet is what it feels like.
Indeed. With a very expensive cigar in hand.
Absolutely.
I like anything that involves water, like in the pool. Like a pool basketball game. Those are always fun.
Good times.
Like volleyball. Volleyball's a good summer game if you're on the beach in particular.
Volleyball is a great sport. Mm-hmm. It's intense.
Yeah, it's tough too. Yeah, that's about it. What do you think, Garrett?
I agree with everything you said. Certainly. That's about it for me too, unfortunately.
Okay. I mean, most of the time, actually, I do spend a lot of time, maintaining my nice white complexion and the coolness of the AC because I am a nerd and I play a lot of video games.
As am I, yeah.
And I don't like being hot.
The only sport I've ever really invested any real time into is basketball, so I'll still shoot hoops occasionally in the summer. But I'm not one to go out and pursue opportunities to play many summer games. Yeah. Aside from Overwatch summer games, of course, but I haven't played that in a couple years, I think.
Yes. I like running out in the summer.
It's not a sport, Jacob. I guess you can make it a sport.
It is a sport, But just like casually running isn't. Against myself.
That's true. That's a sport then. That counts for me.
I always go shirtless. You should see me run in the neighborhood, Garrett. Take my shirt off.
Oh, Jacob, I bet you're a sight to behold. I mean, believe me, I can imagine.
If I was someone watching me, I'd be like, damn, man, I want to go run too. But, I go shirtless.
That isn't what I'd be thinking, but I'd certainly be thinking something as you pass by.
I have these really short shorts on, just enough so my legs can breathe, and I have plenty of maneuverability. It's very important.
Calm down now. You're turning this all on, Jacob. We got to maintain our composure here in the podcast.
You're right. I apologize.
I want people to fly off the side of the road listening to this episode. Speaking of my undying attraction to you, Jacob, Carlos Perez writes in and says, and this is pretty wild, marry one, kill one, bang one between Zach, me, you, and Preston.
So one name gets left out.
Yeah, take your name out as you ask yourself the question. Oh, and I almost forgot. And go. You're up, Jacob.
Oh! I don't like this question.
Yeah, I don't
Can we skip this?
We can skip it, yeah.
There's going to be some bad blood. No matter how this is played out.
I'd kill all of you. Let's move on.
Carlos, I appreciate the question, nonetheless.
Yeah, Metalped writes in. We got that twice, actually. Someone else submitted that.
Are you serious?
I don't have it in the list, though. Metalped writes in and says, after listening to this week's podcast about Chick-fil-A secrets, did we already answer this?
I don't know.
When Metalped,
I don't think so.
When he asked our favorite secret menu items? No. I recognize this because we were going to read it on the podcast last week, but we didn't have time.
Okay.
So Metalped writes in and says, after listening to this week's podcast about Chick-fil-A secret strawberry frosted lemonade, I wanted to thank Preston for telling Garrett about this glorious drink I'm enjoying after work in this 103-degree heat. By the way, Garrett, you sold the hell out of this thing. That's good to know. So I thought to ask, what is your favorite secret menu items from food or drink establishments? I would have to say mine would be the white gummy drink from Jamba Juice. Never tried it. White gummy drink. Wow.
I can confirm that the strawberry frosted lemonade is absolutely delicious. I got it this last week for the first time after calling Garrett to have him remind me what the name of the drink was. And to no surprise, it was so good. And
Nice.
I think it is my answer for this question too. Because I think it even beats the peach milkshake. And that's saying a lot from me because I love peaches.
Did you freeze, Jacob? I think you froze.
You froze
Jacob
for me
definitely froze.
But my audio is still going
Or
and
network
my
connection. That can't be mine.
Can you still hear me? Garrett, can I
Skype
hear
forever
me?
failing us. I'm going to call him back.
Oh no, our call disconnected, chat. I'm going to attempt.
I don't have time to edit this either, so it's just we got to get everything like this.
Uh-oh.
Howdy.
Hey, man.
These episodes, because of stupid Skype, turn into absolute hell to edit, and it saddens me. But I'm glad you enjoyed the milkshake, Jacob. It's definitely better than peach, in my opinion, as well.
Yes.
And I love the peach, not to undermine it at all, but strawberry frosted lemonade, man, is almost to die for.
Yeah.
You got any other secret menu items you like?
I don't.
I do have one. A friend of mine named Ryan, who Preston, I believe, still works with from time to time, introduced me to the Bird is the Word sandwich at Jason's Deli. I think it's called Bird is the Word. Actually, it's not the Bird is the Word. It's called something like Bird's in the title. I can't remember the name of it. But it's a sandwich that is not on the menu, and it is all sorts of different meat and like 3 different cheeses. It's basically the Wicked from Witch. Have you ever been to Witch?
I have.
It's kind of like that, but it is Jason's Deli, and it is exceptional.
Okay.
I apologize. I can't remember the exact name if you wanted to try it for yourself, but just ask him for like the secret menu item that has something like bird in the title. They'll probably know what you're talking about. The third would probably be the buffalo chicken wrap at Marlowe's Tavern that used to be on the menu, but it is no longer on the menu. And it hasn't been for a couple years, but you can still ask for it and they'll make it. So it's technically a secret menu item. It's delicious.
Okay.
And on a side note, Marlowe's Tavern's okra, fried okra, is some of the best I've ever had in my life.
Oh.
I could eat a plate of just that, honestly. I could eat a bowl of that.
Okay.
Probably a large popcorn-sized bag of fried okra.
Okay.
Any other secret menu items? None that I can think of, but favorite drinks would be, I love the angel food smoothie from Smoothie King with peanut butter added. It's delicious. Of course, the always delectable Baja Blast from Taco Bell. Can't go wrong.
Oh, true.
McDonald's sweet tea is glorious.
Is that a secret menu item?
No, he said favorite drinks too. Maybe he said secret.
Yeah, he says favorite secret menu items from food or drink establishments.
Yeah. Well, I broke the rule of that question, but I did name 3 that are legitimate. So you got none other, Jacob? Or,
no.
No more than that?
I have no secrets.
Okay. I admire that, Jacob. Well, Coley Boy writes in and says, dudes and sauce pots alike, I have a question for you. With all the current sales that have been on recently, like the eShop and Steam, I've been buying games like a madman. Most recently being Doom 2016 in anticipation for Doom Eternal. This is now my 4th time buying the game.
Yikes.
Which game have you bought on more than one occasion and why?
I've never bought a game 4 times, I'll tell you that. So I don't know whether to say good on you or you may need to see a therapist. But I guess if you're going to do any game, Doom is probably a good game to buy 4 times. Because it is a very good game. And I enjoyed it very much playing through it just once. And I am definitely very excited for Doom Eternal. So the question is, which game have you bought on more than one occasion and why? I bought Skyrim twice, but that was only because it came out on the 360, and then I bought it again on the, I guess, PS4. So, and that was, I didn't actually finish it the first time I played it, so that was my reason for buying that. I don't consider like expansions for an MMO to be buying the same game more than once because it's always coming with new content. So I won't say wow. I don't know. I've never really bought a game several times. I guess I bought Ratchet and Clank twice technically because I played it when I was little, and then I played the remaster, but that's not exactly the same thing. Do you have any good examples, buddy?
Definitely Skyrim for me. I got it on 360, got it again on PS4, regular version. And then I got it again on PC, and then I got it again on PlayStation VR.
You monster.
So it's funny too, because I never actually played it all the way through with the exception of Xbox 360. So
yeah.
I don't know why I bought it. I think it's just always like the nostalgia and hype I had for Skyrim.
Yeah. I bought Overwatch twice, but 2 different platforms.
Yeah, and I still love Skyrim for what it is. I still think it's a great game for being nearly almost 10 years old, 2021. But
I've never bought a game more than twice.
I unnecessarily bought it that many times. Now, I will say the VR was fun for a little while. I doubt I'll ever go back to actually play that again, but a couple videos we did I thought were really fun in VR.
I bought Diablo 3 twice, one on console, one on PC. I almost bought it a third time for my Switch, but I didn't do it. Yeah, that's all I got.
Nice. Yeah. I think the only other one I bought a few times is Batman Arkham City.
Oh, yeah.
I think I bought it on 360, PS4, and I may have bought it on PC at some point. I can't remember. Here's a more doable one, Jacob, from Carlos.
Okay.
He says, bang one, marry one, kill one, Mrs. Puff, Sandy, or Pearl?
Carlos loves this question. Let's see. Mrs. Puff, Sandy, or Pearl? Okay, I'm going to kill Pearl. Fuck Pearl. She provides no value to the show whatsoever. Worst character ever. She looks hideous. She is huge. And she is just get her out of the show. No one liked her. No one liked her. I'm going to marry, and I'm going to fuck Mrs. Puff, dude. I'm going to fuck that puffball till she expands and just floats away.
Jacob, she's a blowfish.
She's a puffball to me. She's Mrs. Puff. She's a puffball. Then I'm going to marry Sandy because she seems the most level-headed out of the bunch. And I think because she's a squirrel, we'd have much more travel opportunities. We wouldn't just have to stay at our little ocean bubble home. We could go up to the surface and experience the real world. What's your answer, Garrett?
All right, well, if you're going to marry Sandy, just be careful not to disrespect her home state of Texas, because she will obliterate you.
Yeah, or make sure she gets her hibernation sleep, or she'll like transform into a big beast.
Yeah, exactly. You remember that episode? Watch out for that. I do remember that fondly. I remember many SpongeBob episodes. I will say,
I was kind of scared of that one.
Is way funnier than new SpongeBob.
Oh yeah,
I know the show has been canceled for a while, but I think all the older episodes are just brilliant.
Was it canceled or did it just end?
Well, it just ended, but yeah. I would do the exact same thing as you, by the way.
Okay.
So
yeah, Pearl sucks, man. Like she's not bad, but I don't think
like Pearl sucks.
She doesn't really provide any value to me.
Yeah. Thank you, Carlos. Grace Wins writes in and says, most anticipated game of 2020. This one's easy for me. Cyberpunk 2077.
Out of announced titles, yes, I would say Cyberpunk is my most anticipated. Thank you for the question, Grace.
Yeah. Gigalagaki writes in and says, let me see if I can do his accent. Boys, real talk time. Let's get homoerotic. Gaze into each other's eyes and tell us what you would consider to be the perfect mandate.
I can't see your eyes.
Thanks, Gigalagaki. I can sort of see your eyes. Yeah, my head's cut off. I'm sorry, Jacob. What about this? How's this? That better?
Yeah.
Okay. The perfect mandate. Believe it or not, Preston and I have had incredible mandates. I think the most manly date we've ever had is when we went to shoot at the gun range. We went and shot for a while, and then we went to get barbecue afterward.
Oh.
So that was probably one of the best mandates I've had, certainly. Yeah. I've been on countless with Zach. None quite like that. Zach and I typically go shopping and to a movie and to the lunch or something. But
Garrett, here's what I would do with you, if you don't mind me interrupting.
Okay.
I would probably. Oh, of course, I would spend the night with you before. You know, we would have a passionate
as we
night
do
together.
You and I have had many slumber parties.
Yes, but never, quite like this experience that I'm thinking of.
Okay.
And we wake up the next morning, completely just head over heels for each other. And we decide we really need to get some coffee to start the day. So we walk down the street, get some coffee.
Well, where are we right now?
Oh, well, we're in Atlanta. Just imagine we're at your place right now.
Okay.
We do that. We come back. We do a couple things together, this is a PG podcast, so I won't indulge on those. But after that, we go out and have
it was just a mandate. No one said it had to be intimate.
Shh.
It's fine.
We go get a delicious pizza from Antico's, which I have not had yet, but I'm taking your word for it.
What time of day is it?
Oh, it's noon now.
Okay.
We've had a busy morning after our coffee.
Okay.
We go do that.
Worked up an appetite, I guess.
Then we go shopping. I don't know where in particular, but we go splooge some money.
I guess you go to Lenox Mall. It's pretty wild. It's like the Wild West in there these days.
Yeah.
You go to Lenox Mall in Buckhead.
Okay, we'll do that. After that, we go to the park. We take some pictures together.
What is this?
I don't know, dude. I'm bullshit.
Right.
Completely.
We'll keep going.
Then after that, I think barbecue is a good staple of a good mandate.
The best barbecue in the city is less than 3 miles away from where I live.
Mm-hmm. I think we go do that too.
Okay.
And then maybe at some point we also go and shoot guns, because I also think that's a very manly thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
If not that, then maybe we go on a shirtless run together. Or we go to a gym and work out shirtlessly.
Okay.
Shirtlessly.
What about pantlessly is while we're at it? Why don't we just work out fully nude, Jacob?
If they allow
are there any nude gyms? I bet it's pretty disgusting
I'm
to be
sure there
at
is.
a nude gym.
Yeah, I don't want to see it. But and then at night we go see a very good movie. I don't know what the movie would be at the time.
Okay.
Maybe Star Wars. Maybe anything that's popping for the young kids.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I would do with you, man. Now
Okay,
I would make sure that you had the best day of your life.
All right. You've inspired me. Here's my best mandate.
Okay.
So similar. We would wake up and instead of, granted, my favorite coffee shop is right down the street, but we would go have a hearty breakfast somewhere delicious. There are countless phenomenal diners in the city, but I'm thinking this morning in particular, we're going to go to West Egg Cafe, which is right down the street as well. It's right near Ormsby's. We would have to wait out the potential 45-minute to hour wait that is there every single morning in brunch. But we'd do it, Jacob. We'd be together. We'd have a delicious, hearty breakfast. And then we would go, we'd probably go shoot after that and go have a morning shoot at the gun range.
Okay.
We would then go have lunch. Probably go to Foxboro's, like you mentioned, get some barbecue. We would go to the park after that and maybe throw a baseball back and forth, play catch for a while. Because I haven't played catch in a long time, and I think that'd be fun.
That's a manly thing to do.
Yeah, we would do that. Followed by that, I think we would go on, I don't know. I'm really bad at dates, Jacob. We take a ride on the Ferris wheel.
Yeah. We could go see a sport game. We could go to a Braves game. How about that?
Yeah, that'd be fun. We'll go to an afternoon Braves game.
Then we'd probably get
SunTrust
bored
Park.
because baseball's boring, and we'd leave.
I love the vibe and atmosphere of a baseball game, but the sport itself bores me to
completely
oblivion.
agree. I love keeping up with the team.
We go to some sort of sporting event. We go to dinner after that. Probably there's a lot of places too. We go to American Cut for dinner for sure. The steakhouse.
Ooh. I need to get that drink. That's smoked.
Smoked old fashioned.
Yes.
Yeah. Delicious. We'd go there for dinner. Maybe go to a bar afterwards. Maybe catch a movie after that.
Wow.
Or maybe vice versa. Maybe movie then bar.
Wow.
And we'd call it a night, man.
Okay. Do I spend the night?
Yeah. Actually, we'd come back and just play video games to our heart's content. Yeah. That's how we'd end the night.
Yeah. Who am I kidding? Let's just play games all day.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine with me too. Honestly, that's fine with me any day.
Order some pizzas.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I think those would be my my dates for sure. Let me mark off all these questions so I don't lose track of where we're at. But Gigalagalki, thanks, mate. We greatly appreciate it.
I'm sure you're spot on with that accent.
That's more of a Cockney British accent. I'm inspired by Butcher from The Boys I've been watching, which I'll talk about on the podcast. But Gigalagalki, thanks so much, man. All right, Hazard writes in and says, favorite water, you bashful bitches. Favorite water? I'm an Aquafina man myself. I got it right here. So that's not a plug, but it's the cold hard truth.
The official sponsor of IOG.
Yeah, I like Aquafina. I don't mind Dasani. I don't mind Smart Water. I don't mind Fiji. I mean, I'll drink pretty much any water. It's fun. I've tried Core Water before. It's pretty good. What about you, Jacob? Do you have a preference?
My favorite is Smart Water.
Smart Water?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not only is it just very delicious and nutritious, but it also makes me smarter.
Certainly, yeah. You're the most intelligent man I know because of all your smart water consumption, Jacob.
Yes.
So you're saying you don't enjoy the city punch in Atlanta, as Evan refers to?
Yes. No, I won't touch the city punch.
I have the city punch in a Brita filter that filters quite nicely. I use it to make my coffee every morning, so I have city punch different. Coffee. So,
see, I bathe.
Water in the city is truly disgusting.
I bathe and clean in the city punch, but I will not consume the city punch.
Yeah, I remember in Casey's old apartment, the water from her faucet would come out like a tint of yellow.
Ugh.
It's disgusting, man. So, I'm not about that at all. But Hazard, if I had to pick one, probably go Aquafina myself. Jacob's going smart. All right, next we got Francis J. Pete writes in and says, do you ever experience fatigue while playing certain video games? How do you deal with that? Will you put it down for a while and play something else? Are there genres that you find more difficult to get into?
This is a good question.
I feel like you have told me you experience fatigue, Jacob.
I have, yeah. Very recently, actually, with Octopath. It's very, it's not that it's difficult to play, it's just, it can be very, not only time consuming, but also just like, I guess time consuming is the best word, actually. I've put in almost 75 hours and I still have quite a bit to go, it feels like. And it's like, I like the game a lot, but it also just like, it's just draining me because it's taking so long. And it's like in the back of my mind right now as I'm playing Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Because like I want to finish Octopath because I'm not a guy to just play a game and then get as far as I have 75 hours in and just like put it down for a second. Like a part of me is like, you need to go back and finish that freaking game because you're going to forget about it. And I already did that once with Octopath and I don't want to do it again. But I'm stuck at this certain part. So we'll see what happens, but I do need to get back to it. I do have a lot of fatigue with playing multiplayer games though. Like Overwatch, I got sick of playing. I do intend on going back to that, by the way, once the new 222 roll lock system gets implemented on the live servers. A lot of people are saying good things about it. So, and I'm sure it's going to change the game quite a bit. But I've never like had video game fatigue in general, though. Like I know Preston's and maybe you too, Garrett, that have said in the past that, you just take a break from playing games. That's not really been me. I've never really gotten sick of playing games or consuming them. It happens to me with TV shows though. Like I can't just watch show back to back. Like I'll have to watch a show through, then I'll, maybe watch some YouTube for a while after that. I need a break from consuming too much media in that regard. But yeah. What about you?
All right, I got you. It's great you mentioned Overwatch. It'll be a great segue into the next question. But
good.
In terms of video game fatigue, in the last few years, I have not had enough time to become fatigued, fortunately for my sake. So I'll get to play games just enough to where when I need to stop, I have not played too much. I would love to reach a point where I'm fatigued, but I've not had that problem, fortunately. Is there anything I've played that I've gotten bored of? Like, I have 300 plus hours in Hunt now, and I'm not bored of that at all. Still enjoy that. It really depends on the game, especially. I will say I might be just sort of fatigued from Battle Royale. Not entirely, but I will say if you, for example, you play Apex one night and you're just losing and losing, just over and over and over and over again, it gets old having to drop in, grab loot, and lose again. Drop in, grab loot, and lose again.
Yeah, imagine.
It's very tiresome.
Imagine playing Apex alone and doing that. It's terrible.
Yeah. So while I still enjoy the adrenaline rush of Battle Royale, that still has not changed for me. I still think Battle Royale is by far one of the most exciting game modes I've ever played as far as competitive multiplayer is concerned. I'm not entirely the way the game makes me feel, but I certainly get fatigued by having bad nights in Apex or in the past PUBG. Where you just lose repeatedly and just that monotonous task of just dropping in and collecting the best loot you can find and then just it all going to hell because you die like 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
But I was going somewhere with that. What was I going to say? I think it's why I'm most excited for, oddly enough, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. We'll talk about it on the podcast, but I think the most attractive part of Modern Warfare's multiplayer coming up is Gunfight to me because it's so small and concise and so action-packed constantly that I think that will excite me more than any other multiplayer mode beyond like standard TDM or domination or even the new 20v20 mode. I think the other mode that'll really, really get me excited is the realism mode, especially at night, because I love like really high stakes and high competition and strip back mechanics like that, where there's like no radar, no HUD of any sort.
Yeah.
So stuff like that excites me, but it's like the smaller scale stuff that's more action packed and accessible that has me excited these days. So
Sure.
if anything, Battle Royale can fatigue me at times, but
yeah,
not too much.
I feel that. Hey, before we read the next question, when do we need to cut this off? Like, when do you need to go to work?
I mean, I don't have to go to work till 3:00, but this podcast, this episode in particular, we got to stop at 11:20.
Okay.
So we have roughly an hour.
Okay.
Any other genres you find difficult to get into? I've never really been into RTS. I tried with Halo back in the day, but even Halo couldn't draw me in with Halo Wars. So RTS, not so much. That's probably about it for me. I've dabbled in, of course, shooters, RPGs, any single player games, MMOs, but JRPGs as well, but not so much RTS games. What about you?
What
platformers I love as well when I get into them.
I'm like especially since I just started playing like a tactical RPG in Fire Emblem. Like there's, I guess racing for me is hard to get into, but I always use that example.
Yeah, that's one for me. It's funny because I've played so many great racing games, but I've never really fallen in love with one. I mean, I really do adore Mario Kart, but that's more of, like a standard kart arcade racer. But that's probably the only racer I've ever truly loved is Mario Kart.
I guess MOBAs are also hard for me to get into, but I think that's mostly because I always feel overwhelmed by all the systems, and
yeah,
I just haven't given that genre enough time. But that's about it.
Yes, I second the notion, Jacob. Speaking of Overwatch, Marble Chicken writes in and says, "Hello, boss." He says, "Please do the voice, Garrett. It brings me much joy." I recently jumped into Overwatch, and although it's a 4-year-old game, I am loving it. Being a new player in an old game is great, especially when the devs are still making big changes. My question is for the legend Jalka27, since I remember a time where Overwatch was his love before Apex. What are your thoughts on role queue? Even me being new, I've grown a hatred for the people who only care to play DPS and not play for the team in competitive, so I can't wait for it to make it out of PTR. Let me know what you think and keep the hashtag good vibes going. P.S. Funny thought I had last episode. When Zach said he wants his Star Wars job to be anything in the Jedi Temple, like in the library, all I could picture was the montage from Game of Thrones where Sam's scrubbing bedpans in the Citadel, and I think Zach is above that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's exactly where he belongs. So you're not wrong. Let's see. Role queue. I think role queue is going to be really great for the game. I know I briefly touched on it earlier, but Can you
explain it to me without boring people to death? Because I don't know what it is.
So basically, role queue is you literally queue into a mode of like competitive, for example, which is like the rank system, and you pick a specific role that you have to play in that game. So you can either pick damage, tank, or healer, and that's all you can play. You have access to those heroes alone. And I think this fixes the problem, like you said earlier, of people not being willing to, swap roles or make sure all the roles are covered on a team to give you the best chance of winning, right? So, like, if you go into it, like, I'm going to role queue as a tank, and, I can only play those tank heroes, and, like, I can change between those heroes, sure, but I have to stick to my specific role. And this also gives people that, like, really shine in those kind of environments a chance to separate their ranking from, like, other kinds of play, because there's going to be ranking for each kinds of those. Like, there's going to be a tank score, there's gonna be a healer score and a damage score. So it's also fun because you can go in and like see which one you're better at just by where you place in your placements. So that's kind of cool. But I think it's going to I think that's definitely going to cut down on some toxicity in the game, which it so desperately needs, because Overwatch is a very toxic game. Because you got 5 people on your team who are all trying to win, and if you notice just one guy fucking around, a lot of people are gonna voice their opinions. Let me tell you.
It's a bit like Siege. It's the same way.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably even more toxic than Siege from what I hear. I haven't been around Overwatch in a while. I do intend on going back and checking it out a little bit once it goes live. But yeah, I think Overwatch is heading in the right direction. We'll see what happens.
Cool. Yeah, roll queue sounds like an awesome idea.
And they just released a new hero too. It's named Sigma. Have you seen anything?
Yeah, I have seen that guy.
I'm not sure how he is, but it looks cool.
Yeah. On a side note, I will say you and I had some truly great times playing Overwatch back in the day.
We did.
I never played with you on PC, I don't think, but I do have it on PC.
I've never played it on my new PC. So must have been a while ago.
Yeah, but you and I had some really great times in that game. Really great competition, too. I always loved those really intense matches where we'd come out on top at the very end.
Yeah.
Of course, the victory theme always put a smile on my face as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you love that music.
Yeah. But I really do love Overwatch. I'd like to maybe dabble in that again at some point.
Yeah.
If time ever permits, but good times, man.
And it's important to know that, like, so there will still be an arcade mode that still lets you queue into the way that you play the game now. Like how anyone can just pick any character.
Nice.
As long as there's no duplicates.
Cool. Well, awesome. Marble Chicken, thanks so much for your question, man.
Yep.
Wham writes in and says, "Hey bros, how about a death battle? Geralt of Rivia versus the vampire hunter Blade. Who wins?"
I don't know enough about Blade to answer this question well.
Yeah, it's tricky because I don't know all Blade's powers. I know he's part vampire, and he has all of his weapons and stuff. But I think Geralt would just obliterate Blade, if I'm being honest, because he has all of his signs.
Geralt usually does obliterate vampires. Like, they don't even impose a problem. But Blade, I think, might be different because he is Blade.
Yeah, I think Blade might use firearms as well, in addition to like his swords and stuff.
And all Geralt has is a crossbow, you know?
Yeah, so I mean that's partly a problem, but Garrett also has that sign, I can't remember what it is, where he has basically a shield temporarily. So
he also knows how to play Gwent. That's important.
Yeah, he's very good at Gwent. He also has a number of potions he can use to enhance his combat abilities.
True.
So
that makes him better against vampires.
I think even in like a sword fight, Blade versus Geralt, I think Geralt would take Blade for sure. I think Blade would pose certainly a threat to Geralt, but Geralt would just completely destroy him.
Yeah. This is the DLC we need.
Yeah, it is. Waiting on that. We need to bring Geralt into the MCU, please. Wham Blam, thank you, man. Bear Commando writes in and says, "Who should be the cast for the hypothetical Space Jam 2? I think you at least need Shaq, Kevin Hart, and Jack Black."
I think you need LeBron James. He's the closest thing to a MJ.
Yeah, last I heard, I think LeBron is cast
apparently
for Space Jam 2.
It's being made, but I don't know.
I mean, I can't remember the last time Looney Tunes were truly relevant. I mean, no one ever talks about Looney Tunes anymore. So are they going to? It has to be Looney relevant. Tunes, otherwise it would be an uproar. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference to me. I love Space Jam, but I mean, I think it'd be more interesting, honestly, if they took a different animated property for Space Jam. But it's probably a WB property, so they have to do Looney Tunes.
I think it'd be cool to see like The Rock and Kevin Hart on like the monster team.
Yeah,
they could do some good voice acting, I guess. And Jack Black
have
too.
To be the more star-studded the cast, the better.
Yeah.
But I think LeBron has been primed to star, and I would assume a leading role in Space Jam 2, whereas Michael Jordan clearly was just an incredible athlete on screen for the movie, whereas LeBron has actually done a bit of acting, and he's actually heavily involved with producing a number of films and other properties. So
let's not get it mistaken though. Like LeBron would be the guy selling the movie though, just like MJ would.
Absolutely. I don't
Unless
think it'd be cool if Michael Jordan
had
like a I think it'd be cool if Michael Jordan was in the movie as well, like as a cameo or something.
Sure. Yeah, that would actually be cool.
I think he'd be up for it. So
passing the torch.
Hypothetical cast, though. I mean, obviously LeBron. I'm down for Kevin Hart and The Rock and anything, honestly. I don't know who else, though. I mean, because I know, what's his name? Forgive me, this is blasphemous. I'm so tired. Ghostbusters, Caddyshack, and a million other movies. What's his name?
That is
incredibly famous. So funny. Why can't I remember his name all of a sudden? Ghostbusters cast. Bill Murray. That's who I was going for. I apologize.
Who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters.
Yeah, you got to bring Bill Murray back for sure. Yeah, that's probably about it for the cast for me.
Nice.
You got anything else, Jacob?
No. Next question.
Hazard writes in and says, "Hello, fellow gamers.
Hazard.
Is this Hazard? We had 2 Hazards back to back. Where's Hazard in? Okay, Hazard's
no.
back. Hello, fellow gamers. Recently, some buddies and I were talking about what would we do if we won the lottery. So that's the question. What would you do / buy with all that money?
Honestly, I would put it all into. I would put a very good portion of it into my savings because that's the smart thing to do. But if I had to splooge on a couple things, what I would do right now is I would probably, as soon as I could, I'd probably get a Tesla. Honestly, I'd probably get a Model S Tesla because I'm not a huge car guy, but I also I probably wants to, do what's best for the environment. And I think Tesla's doing a lot of cool, innovative things in terms of just their design of their cars. So I think I would get that. And then after that, I would probably buy a very nice apartment in Atlanta for the time being until I figured out where I wanted to go next. Because I don't know if I necessarily want to stay in Atlanta. It's a nice city, but part of me wants to go explore a different part of the world. And then I would probably buy the beefiest computer that I possibly could. Because I would definitely not give up my love for games just because I'm rich. And I'd probably go buy a bunch of nice clothes. Then other than that, I would probably try and, save money, do the responsible thing, and make sure I have a very good future ahead of me. What about you, dude?
I like that, Jacob. That's great. I would first and foremost pay off all of my student loan debt.
Oh yeah, I should probably do that too.
Pay off my sister's student loan debt.
Oh yeah,
take care of that.
I give my family some money too.
Yeah, so we're entirely debt free. I'd probably pay off my parents' new house. I'd take care of all the things that have payments that need to be paid. We obviously don't know the sum of money. I'm just going to theoretically say we've won the biggest lottery ever. Okay. So I'd pay off any debts, any bills would all be entirely taken care of. Car payments, mortgage, blah 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 blah. All that's done and taken care of. So now we're just living. We're loving life. So I would invest in all of the production gear I've ever wanted that I cannot afford. Multitude of cameras, lighting gear. I'd probably buy us some sort of production studio and focus all my time on making ItsObviousGaming everything that I've always believed it can be. Obviously, life has prevented us from doing everything we're capable of, unfortunately, but I would give ItsObviousGaming a true, real 100% all-in shot for at least a year to see how it goes. I would certainly do that. But primarily, be all the production gear, pay off all the bills. I've always wanted a tailored suit. I never had a tailored suit before, like John Wick.
Yeah,
so I'd want a tailored suit. Yeah. I'd go solid black as well.
There's just so many shades.
Yeah, there's a multitude of shades I like. I would like a good tan suit, maybe a dark blue suit. Be up for a charcoal gray suit, but I think I've always just at heart wanted all black.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
That's what I would do. I think that's primarily what I do with the money for sure. I'd definitely deck out my PC to the fullest extent that's on the market and just continually upgrade it as time goes on.
Anytime a new card comes out, instant upgrade.
Yeah, well, like no question about it. You don't even think twice about it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and I'd have a pretty cozy living space. I've never been really attracted to mansions or anything like that, but I've always wanted. I think I don't know how practical it is, but I've always wanted a home in the mountains in complete seclusion, but within half an hour of society. Okay, but the illusion is that you are totally alone in the forest in the mountains somewhere, but you're not that far from say the local grocery store, the police station, sort of like a Twin Peaks situation where I'm in a log cabin somewhere. Okay. But it feels remote. Yeah. So that'd be my dream home. I would pay for the world's finest internet connection in the mountains too, so it's just completely uninhibited. And I would wake up every morning and enjoy a nice cup of coffee on the porch. And I like to think that type of money enables you to relax entirely in a sense where you don't have to worry about finances or bills or any other kind of life-related stress in terms of just, I would say, finances. Obviously, there's so much more to life than that. Yeah. I've never even been remotely attracted to large sums of money anyway, but I think when you have that much money, knowing all your debts are paid off, you technically don't have to work. I think I could truly sit comfortably on my front porch and enjoy a cup of coffee for an hour. Yeah. Maybe read a book. or something.
I think I would definitely travel a lot if I had tons of money.
Definitely.
I would
that'd be huge.
I would go visit
too.
all the great spots in the world.
I'd probably go on a world tour for like a full year.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer than that. Just travel perpetually for a year.
I really want to go to Greece.
Greece is beautiful. At least in images, we could go there and it may not even exist.
Yeah.
If anyone from this podcast listens from anywhere in Greece, I'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
It's funny. Our analytics say our number one city is San Francisco. I think there's over 300 people from San Francisco that tune into the It's Obvious podcast. And every time I say I'm going to San Francisco, no one says like, oh, hey, I live there. Not that I'm like expecting anyone to like reach out for any particular reason, but I'm just surprised all the times I've gone to San Francisco, no one's ever said anything. So maybe, I don't know if the analytics are incorrect. I think there's a few from Japan. I don't know how, I mean, maybe they're bilingual, but there's a few from Japan. It's fun if you guys are assigned to, or if your RSS feed stems from Audioboom, you can look up your analytics if you didn't know. And it's really interesting to see the breakdown of the age range and gender and which cities and countries are your biggest. Atlanta's pretty popular for us too, but San Francisco by far and wide is the most popular, surprisingly.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think that's all the things I would do, Jacob.
Yeah, those are some good things.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Where are we? We're on Handsome Jack's question. Handsome Jack, he's back and says, what game or what is a game you really love that was incredibly obscure, as in pretty much no one but yourself knows about it? Mine is a game called Project Sylphid, a rail shooter set in space for the Xbox 360 that I don't think more than a couple hundred people know even exists. But it was a fantastic game, even though it wasn't for everyone, particularly because it had such a good New Game Plus system, so you could go back to early missions with upgraded weapons and completely slaughter everyone. And it was great because they programmed it so that if you played really well, your allies would give you tons of praise that you normally wouldn't be able to hear. What do you think, Jacob? What's an obscure game you've played? I have one that Preston and I have played that I've never in my life heard anyone else talk about.
I don't know if I have one, man. I only play like the mainstream games, as sad as that sounds. I don't have any examples.
See, you don't play that many mainstream games. I mean, I know Fire Emblem is talk of the town right now, but that isn't entirely mainstream. You played a lot of JRPGs that many people didn't play, like even Octopath.
A lot of people
yourself
played
a little
that
more
game.
credit there, Jacob.
A lot of people played that game. Yeah, like because he's saying like that a lot of people don't know about, so it's tough in that regard. I don't know, man. I'm trying to think.
I'll name one. Preston and I played co-op on PS2, a game called Cookies and Cream.
Okay.
You can probably find it online. It's like a 2-lane co-op game where you play like a bunny and a rabbit, or not a bunny and a rabbit. That makes no sense. It's like a rabbit and like some other kind of rodent that it's like 2 lanes. You run across these maps and have to cooperatively complete objectives to progress through and not get killed.
Yeah.
It's probably the best way I can describe it, but it's called Cookies and Cream. I've never heard anyone else talk about it. That's probably one of the first games Preston and I actually ever played co-op together in back in the day.
So there's this game that no one heard about called Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery.
Yeah.
You remember me playing this?
It's not ringing a bell.
Dude, I was so into that game. And it slowly excuse me. Got stuff stuck in my throat. That game sucked. I hate that game.
That game sucked. You know what's even worse is what was that AR game that just came out?
What's it
Wizards
called? Harry
Unite.
Potter. Yeah, Wizards Unite.
Yeah, that game
sucks too.
blows, man. I cannot believe how much it's like. What are these people doing? Like WB with the Harry Potter license and also EA with the Star Wars license. You idiots! Like, get it together. You have a gold mine at your fingertips, and you are blowing it.
You're trying to make money.
I know
man.
we have Jedi Fallen Order coming, and I know supposedly EA Montreal is working on this open world Star Wars experience, but my goodness, like they've had the Star Wars license since 2012 or 13, I think, maybe earlier. And they have just been so light on just incredible Star Wars experiences.
It also makes me very sad that we're not getting apparently like that leaked footage, that Harry Potter game. Is that still a thing? And who's making it?
That's I was going to bring that up because you and I lost our minds when that footage leaked, and we did that in-depth discussion. I think we talked for almost an hour. It's on our YouTube channel if you're interested. I'm still waiting to hear about that because that's the type of Harry Potter game I've been waiting what feels like my entire life since I was a Harry Potter fan as a child.
I know.
I was going to ask if Fire Emblem sort of has scratched the Harry Potter itch for you, even in the slightest way.
100%.
I know it's very different, but
I want Harry
similar.
Potter to be exactly like the social aspects in that game.
Okay.
And I'm going to definitely talk a lot about it during the podcast this week. So
cool.
Definitely stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it's the more I hear about that, the more people I hear talk about it, just gets me even more excited to play it inevitably. Hopefully I can afford a Switch in the next few months.
It's so good, man.
We'll see. But yeah,
I'm
really holding out
addicted
hope
to
for
it.
that Harry Potter game. Yeah, you told me it's like a drug.
Yeah, it is. Like I've stopped playing Apex completely.
Wow, that's surprising, man.
I know.
Have you streamed it at all?
No.
What are you waiting for?
I don't think it's a good stream game.
Well, someone might enjoy it.
Maybe.
I mean, how many Facebook...
How do I make it enjoyable, though, is the question.
How many Facebook streamers are streaming Fire Emblem right now?
Probably not very many.
You should consider it then.
I might, yeah. It's a good point.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the Ninja moving to Mixer 2 on the podcast.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to talk about that.
It's funny because I don't watch any streamers. I've never actually watched a Ninja stream in my entire life, but just something about like it's almost like the sports world, but for video games. It's like, oh, the so and so like was traded to this team or something.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of reminds me of.
It's huge. Like Twitch couldn't hold on to their biggest star. They lost him.
It's pretty wild. So that's interesting to talk about. But Handsome Jack, thank you so much for your question, my friend. Carlos is back and says, what are your top 5 all-time favorite real people TV shows like The Office, That 70s Show, etc.? Why are they?
Well, you said 2 of them right there. I love both of those shows a lot.
Man, my back is exploding, Jacob. When you talk about your shows for just a second, I got to go get some more coffee.
Okay. So real people or favorite real people TV show. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. I guess it's like a live like television episode or show. I would say Office is number 1 because Office is the greatest comedy skit show of all time. 100%. So the cast is it doesn't even compare to anything else, or nothing compares to it. Number 2, I used to be a really big fan of Full House back in the day, so I'm gonna say that. I would say That 70s Show is definitely in there. Let me think for just a moment. I really like Arrested Development too. It's a great show. Garrett, how about you say some of yours and maybe it'll inspire me to give me my last one.
All right, this is just off the top of the dome. Let me see if I can remember. The Office, Parks and Rec, Arrested Development.
I said all those.
Yeah. I'm bound to be forgetting one right now. Curb Your Enthusiasm and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, It's Always Sunny.
And oddly enough, all of those are comedies too.
Yeah.
With relatively similar humor. I think if I had to pick one for the rest of my life, it'd be The Office, but a very, very close second is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia by far.
I've never been tired of watching The Office like I have been other shows.
It's one of those shows you can watch any episode relatively, with the exception of like the last 2 seasons maybe. I still like those seasons, but I think it's the first 7 seasons are just gold.
Yeah, it's hard 100%. To like shoot a show as long as they did and like have each episode pretty much all be funny on their own.
Yeah. Testament to the writers. I mean, obviously the cast is incredible and did a lot with the writing, but just the writing alone was just absolutely brilliant. And I will say, shout out to Arrested Development's writing as well, because it's so stupid, but it's so brilliant at the same time. Casey actually met Ron Howard recently at the restaurant she works at.
Okay.
Yeah, he came in for a beer and was trying to be like nonchalant watching a game. And she wound up talking to him about Arrested Development and stuff for a while. I thought it was kind of cool.
That's cool.
I love how I'm not like crazy about celebrities or anything, but I think it is cool that various movie stars and directors and stuff float around the city from time to time.
Yeah. Like
the time I met Mark Ruffalo in a tiny jazz club. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have the Avengers roaming the city, or at least now that to an extent, like when they were shooting Endgame and Infinity War and all that. I know they were spotted quite frequently, but it's kind of cool. But those are probably my top 5 by far.
Nice.
I'm sure I'm bound to be forgetting something, but off the top of the head, those are my favorite. Got your top 5? You only named 3.
I named them when you were gone.
Okay. You mind reiterating for me real quick? It might remind me of something.
I think I said The Office.
Okay. That 70s Show, Arrested Development.
Arrested Development. It's Always Sunny.
Uh-huh.
And what else did I say?
Dude, I don't know,
remember.
Jacob.
I don't know.
Oh, Game of Thrones, dude.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Let's move on.
It's so sad because every time I reflect on Game of Thrones now, and the more I think about the final season, I'm like, what a giant, unbelievably heartbreaking end that show had for me.
Yeah, it is.
It like completely undermines the entire series for me, unfortunately. I mean, I still like enjoy the series as a whole, but when I look back on it after the way it ends and thinking about, I could never rewatch it, honestly.
You don't think so?
No, I mean, that's the thing.
Wow.
I can watch moments from the show, but I can never just be like, I want to watch all of Game of Thrones again like I can with a million other TV shows because the ending sucks so much to me. It isn't, again, I stand by the story. Tell the same story, but just flesh it out, as everyone has said.
Mm-hmm.
So it is quite disappointing, unfortunately. Back in the day, before season even 7 and 8, I probably would have said Game of Thrones was one of my favorite shows by far.
Yeah, 100%.
But not anymore. Carlos, thanks for the question, man. Cheeky writes in, and this is an old one, man. I think it was from 2018 or 17. Cheeky writes in and says, what's a song that gets you hyped up?
Oh, that's a lot of songs, man.
I have many, but my number one by far is still Greater Distance by The Ghost Inside, which I've talked about pretty extensively in the podcast in the past. But that is by far my favorite song of all time. Mm-hmm. Just because it's one of those moments I've always thought, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, your favorite band is your favorite band because in a critical moment in your life, you happen to listen to them at the right moment, and whatever song it was said the right thing at the right time, and that just clicks in your heart and your mind, and that's when they become your favorite band. Yep. And that was me. That was for me with Ghost Inside. And the first song I ever heard by them was The Great Unknown, or Unspoken, excuse me, Off Returners. And that song alone, I saw the music video for it. I was like, man, that song was awesome. And I never really heard too many hardcore bands at the time, or at least modern hardcore bands. And that's when I downloaded that album, which is their sophomore album, and heard Greater Distance for the first time. And just the opening lines, all the wrath and all the faith I have inside is eating me alive, just like changed my life the first time I heard it. Because I related to that so significantly when I first heard that. Mm-hmm. So ever since then, they had been my favorite band. And that song still to this day, like the message of that song has always been sort of how because I've always been one about like pursuing what you're passionate about, pursuing your dreams in spite of like sometimes the impossible obstacles that stand in your way. Yeah. That's always been very relevant to me, that message. So that's why it's a song that always gets me hyped. Not only musically, but lyrically. Lyrics are huge for me. If a song has killer music, that's one thing, but the lyrics have to mean something to me. Yeah. Like another big one for me is 30 and 7 by August Burns Red off their album Constellations, which is also their sophomore album, which they're touring right now. And I think they're playing it in its entirety at all the shows, and they just played it in the city last night. But I could not go because I was booked running sound for an Elvis cover band that no one showed up to. So it was severely depressing thinking I could have gone to that show instead. I mean, I need the money, but I was pretty bummed when I was watching the Elvis tribute when I could have been at August Burns Red, which I wanted to mention before I forget. Their remixed version of Constellations, I think, is pretty killer. I didn't love the remixed version of Messengers as much. I still prefer the sound of the original album. But Constellation sounds pretty gnarly remixed. I will say that snare drum doesn't lie. It's like the fattest, most in-your-face snare drum I've ever heard in a mix before. But it sounds really good. So if you guys haven't heard, if you're an August Burns Red fan and were either unaware or haven't listened to the Constellations remix, I recommend it. Gotcha. Also about August Burns Red. I know I'm rambling on August Burns Red now, but their album Rescue and Restore, I had never heard before. It's from 2013. That album kicks ass, man. I listened to that a lot recently. So nice, especially because the last 6 months of my life are pretty gnarly, and a lot of those songs are pretty relevant to some of the stuff I was feeling. So great album as well. I want to hear from you, Jacob. What songs or song gets you pumped up? As a shocker to no one, my favorite band is Linkin Park, because obviously the reasons you were stating earlier. I heard a song at the right time, in the right moment in my life, and ever since then I fell in love with the band. And while this isn't the song that gets me pumped up all the time, well, I said that wrong. While my favorite song is not the song I'm going to say because it's more of like a mellow song, but the song called Faint by Linkin Park off their sophomore album really gets me pumped up every time I hear it. It's got like a nice
melody in the background while Mike is laying down the beats and Chester's laying down the screams. It's very
Is that the
good.
one that's like da 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 da
Yes.
da 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 da? That one. How does the
It's
melody
funny
go
that-
again? I'm trying to remember.
It's like,
Is that the one that starts off? It's like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that gets my heart racing every time, dude.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
a
want
good
to like
song.
start headbanging every time I hear it in my car. I love it.
Dude, old Linkin Park. I mean,
And the best-
their new stuff's pretty good too, but old Linkin Park is so good.
It is so good. Like every time I see that music video too, it has like a live like audience, but they're like, it's kind of like low dimmed lights. So all you see is like the silhouettes of the band on the stage. And you see
Yeah.
the crowd like jumping up and down. It gets me so hyped, dude.
That's awesome.
I love
man.
that song so much.
I'm gonna listen to Hybrid Theory today when I go to work.
Sure,
I haven't listened to that album in so long.
It gets me so hyped. I love it.
It's a good one. A Place for My Head has always been my favorite Linkin Park song
It's a great song.
off that album. I love that.
I
album.
love the opening rap from Mike
Oh yeah,
in that song.
it's great.
But yeah, that's my answer.
That's a fun question. Thanks, Cheeky.
Yeah.
If you even still listen to the show, we appreciate
I
it.
swear I've seen his name recently, so I
Yeah.
think he does. He or she.
Well, Jis or Jize writes in and says, "What is your favorite drink and snake?"
I'm pretty
I
sure
think he
we
may have
answered
been-
this a long time ago.
I think he may have meant to say snack, but we'll do snake as well,
Snake.
just in case.
Yeah, we definitely answered this. I remember talking about snakes.
Oh boy, I gotta have a favorite drink. Probably sweet tea in general.
Sweet tea's your favorite drink.
I think
Sweet
in
tea?
general, like the one I could probably drink the most of and be fine with, because there's so many different variations of sweet tea. It'd probably be sweet tea.
Okay.
I said my favorite soft drink is Sprite, even though I love Baja Blast. I love cream soda. And
I had a
root
Sprite
beer
last
and
night.
Coke.
You'd be happy to know.
Yeah, Sprite's great. It's the most refreshing soft drink to me. I love it. Snack. Oddly enough, my favorite snack has always been pretzels with mustard. Now, specifically Snyder pretzels, and not rolled gold, because I think rolled gold pretzels taste like cookies, like salted cookies, which I'm not into. But Snyder pretzels actually taste like pretzels to me. So pretzels with mustard is just great to me.
Brother, all I need is Mountain Dew and Doritos.
Amen.
No, my favorite drink is probably a ice cold Coca-Cola. My favorite snake is probably the rattlesnake.
I was going to say that too. They just look cool.
Yeah.
King
And-
Cobra's up there as well, but rattlesnake just looks awesome.
Yeah, the Cobra's cool because of its stance. God, there's something like I can't stop burping from drinking that coffee earlier. And my favorite snack, this is tough because it depends like what kind of mood I'm in, and I don't like having the same snack too many times, like consecutively. But my favorite snack would probably just be like a brownie or something. Dude, my
Okay.
birthday cake this year was one of those like brownie and cookie concoctions that you mix together. Like you pour the brownie mix in, then you put like little portions of cookie batter on top of the
Wow.
brownie. And you like mix it together. So
Sounds great.
It sort of makes like a cookie brownie cake.
I'm into that.
It's very
Jacob.
good. Unfortunately, my family almost ate all of it, and I barely had any of it.
Your own birthday
so
cake.
thanks, guys.
Yeah. It's typically how it goes in my house too.
Yeah.
I'll have you know, Jacob, a few times recently I've baked my own peanut butter cookies and I killed it. They were delicious.
Yeah.
So if you ever come over, I'll bake you some cookies. You can have all of them if you like.
Please do. Like we could add that to our mandate.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be quite romantic. My favorite, I think I named my favorite snake. I wanted to give a shout out to ice cream as well. I'm big on ice cream.
Oh yeah, ice cream's
I'm
good.
down for ice cream almost any time of day, any day.
Best flavor. Go.
Anytime, any day. Best flavor.
For me,
I know
it's just
everyone.
regular
It seems like
vanilla.
everyone I know wants to say cookies and cream. I love cookies and cream, but it's not the best to me. This is extremely controversial. No one's going to like this, but my favorite's peanut butter. I'm a peanut butter man, Jacob, at heart. I embrace it. I admit it, and I hold my head up high when I say it.
You like peanut butter more than vanilla ice cream.
I once had peanut butter ice cream, which is at Cold Stone, where I got peanut butter ice cream with peanut butter added.
That's too much peanut butter,
Not for me, man. I'm a peanut butter man. I can handle the peanuts.
and it's so oily.
But I do love vanilla ice cream as well, with peanut butter in it.
That does sound good.
No, but vanilla ice cream is delicious. I think my favorite ice cream on planet Earth, by far, no questions asked, is in Epcot at Disney. In France, their vanilla and chocolate serve. I just screwed that up so bad. Their vanilla and chocolate swirl soft serve ice cream in France at Epcot.
Okay.
There is no ice cream on planet Earth that compares.
Wow.
I will die by those words.
I'm sure there is, but I'll take your word for it.
It's very good. I mean, Dairy Queen vanilla ice cream's great too. Blizzards are great.
Yeah, there's something about Dairy Queen. Like they just have like the perfect cones. Like whenever you go there, you get one in the drive-thru. It's just a sight to behold.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
And it's always so good. They never fuck up their ice cream, in my experience.
No, they don't.
And they also have blizzards, which are pretty cool. I never get one, but the idea of a blizzard excites me.
Good stuff, man. You should try one. Butterfinger Blizzard, all about it. I think we're going to drink snacks and snakes.
Yeah.
Sinian writes in and says, what's an advice or way of living you'd recommend anyone living by? Mine would be to appreciate the little things, always.
That's a good one.
I've got one that is very relevant to me recently. I would say always be a man or woman of your word, because I have encountered far too many people in the last couple years that say they're going to do something and they don't do it ever. And it drives me insane. And that's something I always strive to uphold, as being a man of my word.
I do too.
Which sounds a bit hypocritical, because I know countless times in this podcast, be like, there's going to be an Ask IOG, or we're going to do this, or that.
Yeah,
and it doesn't happen,
hypocrite.
Which is tricky. But as far as like my main responsibilities, like whether it's work related, school related, primarily just, I guess, work and school related, especially relationally, like with friends and family. If I say I'm going to be somewhere or do something, 99% of the time I fulfill that promise. I know it sounds like that wouldn't be the case based on our track record with the podcast, but it's different because this is a glorified hobby. Whereas I wish it was a full-time gig. I would always fulfill my promises if I could invest all my time into it. But as far as life responsibilities are concerned, I strive to be a man of my word. There are many other much more life advice that I've learned over the years from men and women older than I am, with more life experience, certainly. But I think right now what means the most to me is being a man or woman of your word, definitely.
That's a good one. Mine's similar to Extension, but it's be thankful for what you do have, not what you don't have. Because everyone's always spending time like, well, okay, what's the next thing? What am I getting next? What's going to bring me more excitement or enjoyment? But a lot of people don't take the time to, just sit back and be thankful for what you already have. The people in your life, the things that you have, yada, yada, yada. I think a lot of people could gain a lot of, positive things out of just, taking some time to be thankful for what you have and thinking about people. A lot of people don't have what you have. Like a lot of people are much worse off than you. And, I like to think about that sometimes whenever I'm feeling, bummed or, sad that I didn't get to experience something or I can't afford something. It could always be worse. And I try to live my life by that mindset.
Yeah, that's great. I agree with that too, because it's easy to get caught up, especially if you're in a certain profession or pursuing a certain career. Yeah. And something I've always had to remind myself, even when I went to SCAD, when I started at SCAD, I had to accept the fact there's always going to be someone who's better than me at what I'm doing.
True.
Always.
That's true.
Like that's just fact. And with that mindset, I've had to continually remind myself of that, because it's easy for us to go about life and say like, oh, like for my example, like I love photography and videography, but I'm very, 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 very far from being the best of anyone I know. I enjoy it. I recognize that I'm not bad at it, but there are certainly people that are much better than me. And it's easy to, especially in the world that's entirely consumed and run by social media now, when people are posting their lives and their greatest accomplishments on the internet, yeah. It's easy to get consumed by that and be like, oh, well, what am I doing that compares, or what can I do to be more like that? Like, I recommend as much as you can try to refrain from getting in that mindset, because social media, the best description I've ever heard was actually ironically from Tim Geddes of Kind of Funny. It was just a single tweet. He said, Instagram is an RPG. And that's exactly what it is, because people present their lives in the way they want people to see it. And even I'm guilty of that.
They present their best selves. Like, and then we often try to compare ourselves to that.
Exactly. And think about, now there are those out there who post every aspect of their lives on the internet. I think that's incredibly unhealthy. I'm not an expert. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but from what I've seen, it seems unhealthy to post all your deepest, darkest pains and secrets all over the internet. But even an example for me, when I was going through this horrible phase of depression for the last 6 months, there wasn't a hint of that online. Like, no one had any idea, but I presented to the world like everything's fine. So I would say definitely don't become consumed by social media or let other people's accomplishments or whatever they're doing bog you down. Just try, like, do your best to be yourself and pursue what you're passionate about, and always just give it all you got and just be who you are. And I found that to be much more refreshing in terms of things I'm pursuing.
Yeah, you definitely can't be someone that you're not, no matter how hard you try.
Certainly. There's one more that was really, really important to me. I wanted to reiterate. I'm trying to remember what it was. What'd you say yours was again?
Be thankful for what you have, not what you don't.
Right. Here's the last one I'll say. I would say, as nearly impossible as it may be sometimes, always try to be kind to everyone you encounter, especially people who are just vile to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure many of you that work in the service industry can relate. Sometimes it can just completely destroy you after a while and just wear you down. And I have found, at least in my experience, being kind to people always pays off.
Yeah.
Because you never know who they know or what they know.
Or what they're going through.
Or exactly. And honestly, I've reached a point in my life when people are very bitter and angry. I'm more sad for them than I am annoyed by them, because clearly something is going on or has happened in their life to make them feel that way. And I think that's something I've prayed about a lot, because I want to have a heart for people that are in pain, certainly. And obviously, when people are grumpy or even remotely bitter, there's a reason they're being that way. And I try to look at it through that lens and know that whatever they're going through definitely probably sucks. And although they're trying to take it out on me right now, I've found that always being as kind as you can be pays off. I mean, there have been a few times where I've encountered various musicians in the line of work I do that walk into the venue just totally pissed about something. They're incredibly impatient. Everything's annoying them. Nothing you can do seems right. But if you, in my experience, if I've remained to be kind and courteous and professional, when we get through sound check and they play a show and it turns out being a great night, they end up being incredibly thankful or appreciative of whatever it was. Like, I was going, they won't like be specific, but like I wasn't feeling well earlier and tonight was great. So I appreciate that. It was similar to the Elvis thing last night. The guy showed up and he was upset about something, but by the end of the night, he had a great time. So I'd say, at least in my experience, always try to be kind to everyone, even if they're wanting to rip your head off. I know that's not always possible. I've certainly not upheld that forever in my life, but that's something I've certainly strived to do. And I think it's pretty important. So I'm not trying to play holier than thou or like the wise counselor here. These are just life experiences I've had. So actually, this is a fun question. I know it's a little deep, but anyone who feels like talking about that, I'd love to hear life advice you've picked up as well that you think is pretty relevant. But
100%.
I think you and I have covered some good ones here, Jacob.
Yeah.
Sinian, I haven't heard from you, man, in a lifetime. If you're still around, we appreciate the question.
Sure. How many more do we want to do here?
We have till 11:20, so we can do a couple more.
Okay.
You down for that?
I guess. I don't want this to be too long,
Okay.
I got a busy afternoon.
Yeah. Dowsy writes in and says, if you lived in the My Hero universe and could choose any quirk not already seen in the show, what would it be? Think about what it would be most useful for, like crowd control, offense, defense, rescue, etc. What are its limitations?
So not seen in the show, that makes this harder.
That's tricky because there's like 1 million shown in the show.
Does anyone have lightning powers in the show? I don't think so. At least that I'm aware of. Because like that one guy has fire and ice, one in each arm. Everyone can fly, so you can't say flying. Yeah, it would probably be like lightning or something like that. I've always liked elemental superheroes. It just plays into that fantasy part of me that I love so much, like wizards and shit. I would be a wizard. Yeah, I think that'd probably be mine. It's kind of boring, but it's the best I can do on the spot.
Okay. I don't know if this counts. It's probably in the show. I can't remember. But I've always wanted to teleport. That's always been my favorite superpower.
That's a good power. Very convenient.
It's very generic, but telekinesis seems to be very useful.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to teleport. As far as powers in the show that I haven't seen.
Invisibility's in the show.
Yeah. I've always been attracted, especially in hero shooters, like defensive players or support characters. So I'd want to be some sort of supportive hero.
I think someone can read minds in the show too. I was going to say that one.
I would like to have like a healing touch type of power. I guess like sort of like
a healer,
yeah. A healer in Overwatch, where if I have like a squadron of heroes, say we're the Avengers, and everyone's a little injured or beaten down from the fight, I can just shoot out like a healing blast, and it instantly rejuvenates them.
I like literally have the power of holy magic.
Yeah, something like that. I'm very excited for, is it season 3 that's coming up, or is it season 4?
For what?
My Hero.
I think it's 4, maybe.
I think it might be 3.
I don't know. I think it's
I can't
4.
remember. I'm stoked regardless.
Yeah, for sure. I know they released a trailer recently. I didn't watch it, but I'm sure it looks good.
Dowsy, that was a fun one, man. Where are we? Slacko Butt writes in and says, any video game trailers you remember being awesome and then the game turned out to be shit? The new Walking Dead game comes to mind. He may have been talking about, at the time, Overkill's The Walking Dead, and that game was not good.
Call of Duty Ghost. I got really
I wouldn't say that game's entirely terrible.
It's not great. I would say it's not one of the best Call of Duties. From what I've played.
I mean, there's a million we can think of. What are we thinking about? There's got to be 100 we could name. I'm just trying to remember. There's games that we've played while doing this podcast over the years that the trailers are great, but the game sucked.
No Man's Sky.
At the time, but we're going to talk about No Man's Sky Beyond on the podcast, which sounds really awesome. Excuse me. Oh man, what is something that sucked that I've played? Dude, I'm blanking so hard right now. I don't know.
Oh no.
I think it's because we live in a world now where I often don't play games that I know are going to suck, and I think it's pretty easy to determine that before games even launch these days.
Yeah.
So it's tricky for me. I'd have to pull up like my Steam log or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't got any other ones.
I'm sorry, Slacko, but I can't think of anything right now. J-Rev writes in and says, I know we all hype up the T-Bell a lot here, but what is the worst, most underwhelming menu item you've had from there?
Ooh, that's a good
I've
question.
never, ever liked the Mexican pizza. I'm sorry, Preston will want to kill me for saying that, but I've never liked it.
You're insane.
I've never been a refried beans man either. Get those beans away from me.
But they're still good.
I'm not down for that, man. Don't get them away from me. That's why I never liked the beefy 5-layer burrito. Not beefy, whatever the one with all the beans in it.
I don't know. I don't get it.
I'm not down for beans.
See, I don't like burritos either for that specific reason, but I like the beans on the nachos.
Well, I take that back because I'm down for beans in like a burrito, say from Moe's or Willie's or someplace like that, but I don't like the refried beans at Taco Bell.
I'm going to say something shocking, but I think it's true. I don't think the freezes are that good. Especially the Baja Blast one. Tastes too watered down.
Oh,
I mean, it is frozen, you know. So
I will always prefer a Baja Blast over a freeze.
yeah,
There are times where I'm in the mood for a freeze, but I oftentimes only get the freeze when the Baja Blast is out at Taco Bell.
gotcha. And
Which is pretty
the
rare.
worst part about the freezes is that no matter what, you always suck all the fruit juice before the ice goes away. So you're just left with like a husk of frozen ice, and I hate that. I wish it just like had a good consistency like a milkshake did.
Yeah, I get that.
That always pisses me off.
Yeah, I stand by the Mexican pizza. I'm not down for that. Thank you, J-Rev. The Edward 39 writes in and says, do you guys ever replay/rewatch stuff you loved as a kid or as a young adult? Me personally, I was always afraid of what I'm going to think about it years later, as such, avoid doing so. What about you? I'm never afraid to go back and watch something I liked. So, no.
I don't
I'll
go back and
watch
replay
stuff.
old games. That's just not something I do. Maybe I'll do it in the future. I mean, I went back and played Super Smash Bros. On the N64 and Mario Kart. But
Yeah.
I'm not huge on doing that. Not that I am against it. It's just I'd rather spend my time playing something current or new.
Unless games are remastered, I don't ever go back and replay old stuff because I don't have access to them.
Yeah. Sometimes
So-
I'll go back and watch SpongeBob. If it's on, like I'll watch for a few minutes.
But I'll watch old shows and movies all the time and not bother me.
Yeah. Like again, The Office. I'll go back and rewatch that all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just stuff like that. Thank you, Edward.
I'm going to end this episode, Jacob. I think we have 10 minutes left. This will be perfect to end it with a shotgun blast from Mr. Kyle himself. Bahongales. So we have many more, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going to get to in the follow-up episode to this Ask IOG. So fear not. There's also a bunch of your questions that wound up on the next episode of the podcast, which is also happening this week. So keep an eye out. I mean, you're out, I should say. Kyle writes in and says, where am I on my list? Okay, these are old, Kyle. You may remember these. He says, hey guys, congratulations. IOG is now the owner of a brand new strip mall. What stores would each of you open and what goods would they sell?
Oh, God. Okay. I definitely open like a shop that sells like not a video game shop necessarily. Like this place would sell video games, but it would mostly sell, it would kind of be like what GameStop's kind of trying to push right now, or like what they stated in their like reorganization plan of their company. Like they're trying to make the company more of like a hub for gamers as opposed to like a store where you go and buy games. Like they're trying to make it a place where you can hang out and like hold like esports tournaments, stuff like that. And I think that would be a fun idea for like in a side of a strip mall. Like make it a place where people want to go and hang out, come play games. Maybe even order drinks, maybe depending how big I make it.
So basically Battle and Brew.
Kinda, but also like a place where you can go and buy, like, because streaming's such a big thing now, like maybe a place where you can buy Elgato capture cards, like webcams, maybe like it's big enough for you can buy computer parts or
and this
lighting,
is designed
cameras.
to like draw people in to hang out there as well.
Yeah,
is that the idea?
It would have multiple purposes. Yeah, it would just be like a one-stop shop for all things gaming.
Cool. Because I was going to say, what would prevent people from just going straight to Amazon for everything?
True. Yeah. That's a good point.
So you'd have to make it a place where people want to spend their time. For example, Battle and Brew, but you have all these amenities in addition to that.
The more features, obviously, like the more features you can buy, the less that spreads you thin. But also, I think if they're all relatively in the same ecosystem, I think it could work.
Cool. What other stores would you have, Jacob?
I would have a store. A newly branded store that focuses on formal wear for men, or women. They'd be two separate stores. I would have a hat shop because I like hats. It would focus entirely on teams that I like because fuck the other teams. And I would just entirely focus on making I would incentivize the companies to make new designs just for my store, exclusives that you can only get at my store. So you have to come in and spend time in my strip mall and go to the other stores too. What else? I would love a nice little coffee shop. It's got to have the best coffee around. It's got to be fresh. It's got to be French pressed. And we got to have collector mugs to incentivize people coming back. What else? I don't know. I can't think of anything else. What you got?
I would have... Yeah, I like the originality, Jacob. I would have a killer coffee shop. I'd have a Target. I'd have
a Target,
a really fun bar/music venue.
Oh, that's
I would
good.
have.
Obviously, you gotta have restaurants.
I'd have a clothing store that's basically like JCPenney, but it's a little more trendy, where it has like every style of clothing you could ever imagine for men and women.
Okay.
I would have. I can't think of anything relevant for gaming aside from like a Battle and Brew these days, because the only reason people still go to Battle and Brew is because it's basically a bar with PCs and video games. So it's almost like a niche these days. Like even like the Brewcades I went to, or the one I went to in San Francisco, is really cool, but I don't know if I'd really have one of those, honestly. Maybe let's say it's a hybrid, like the music venue / bar has arcade machines and PCs and stuff. Okay. But there's also live music. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, live music and gaming might not necessarily jive together.
Yeah. There'd be a sporting goods as well. But that's the thing. Even in Smith's, like the rooms are segregated enough to where you can't even really, like if you're in the restaurant, you can't even hear the music upstairs or in the music right next to the restaurant. So it's possible to seclude all that stuff. So I'd have that. I'd have a sporting goods store, and I'd have like a really great, of course there'd be a T-Bell in the Strip. Sorry, it's going to be there. And then there'd be a really nice fancy restaurant akin to American Cut, probably.
Nice.
It's just obviously all owned by IOG, and all of those, all that revenue goes towards producing better content more consistently for the brand, I guess.
Oh yeah, our branding is everywhere. Like it's just the walls are painted with our logo. All the menu items are themed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like
that's what I've always liked when bands and other I guess, I don't know really companies, but bands or like even podcasts and stuff, when they make their identity more of a brand versus like, oh, we have standard band tees, for example, like our band logo and stuff, but instead of it being like generic stuff like that, I sound like such an idiot right now. Sorry, I can't even speak. They have like an actual brand of clothing that's almost like a particular style, to where the band or product becomes more of like almost like a lifestyle versus just a product.
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of cool. Not that It's Obvious Gaming would even remotely ever need to be that, but it'd be kind of interesting.
And we'd obviously have like a huge merch store with everything you could imagine.
Of course. Certainly. Next one is, if you were able to magically redo one moment from your life without any consequences, what would it be and why?
Ooh.
I already know what mine is.
I would have not gone to college. Instead, I would have traveled more. And I would have worked more jobs to get more money instead of go to school. What about you?
Oh. All right. I would not quit on my first day of an internship at Brownsbridge.
Oh.
I had an LDP opportunity for audio and video production when I was, I think, just out of high school. I think I'd graduated maybe a few weeks prior.
It's a pretty crazy opportunity for how young you were.
Oh, absolutely. And I was just too immature at the time. I was not ready because it was basically a full-time job. I mean, I was there almost every day of the week from like 9 a.m. to 5. Mm-hmm. Now, nowadays, I would love to do that. Now, I think the LDP program is specifically designed for like high schoolers and much younger kids. Mm. But I got that, and I competed with like 8 other people, and I got that LDP. And I kid you not, I quit on the first day.
That's devastating.
Which could have led to many phenomenal opportunities through the church itself and just opportunities. I'm still involved with Brownsbridge Transit on Sunday mornings and stuff, but I do regret that because that could have been a ton of... Now, it's all experience that I've gained elsewhere in time, so it isn't like experience I lost, but it was definitely opportunity I lost there. So I do regret that because it could have been really awesome, and the staff the staff has completely changed since then, but the staff at the time was really awesome. I'm sure everyone there is still great, but that would have been a killer opportunity that I threw away because I was just an immature kid and didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah.
And shortly thereafter, I wound up at community college with Zach, which was a giant waste of time and money. Because I was confused. That's why a lot of people say, like, if you don't know exactly what you want to do, like maybe take a break in between high school and college and figure it out and travel if you want.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go to school, pursue it then. I mean, where I am now, like, it's fine. But I definitely probably would have benefited from sticking with that internship that I threw away. So I'd redo that for sure.
Nice.
I'd also try not to throw up on my kindergarten crush in first grade. I threw up all over her. She's probably scarred for life because of that.
Also, another thing I probably would have liked to have changed if I would have started playing games besides WoW earlier in my teens. So I had a better chance of developing skills.
Do you wish you didn't hide it from your friends for so long?
Yes.
I wish you hadn't either because I would have been playing with you the entire time.
We would have probably been addicted together.
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt about it.
And it probably would have ruined your life.
I was addicted to RuneScape at the time, so it would have been quite the upgrade for me had you informed me. The next one is, if you guys are in charge of coming up with the next best Lay's flavor, what would you create? What will stand the test of time?
I thought Bongles was the finale. Like, what are we doing?
This is the finale. It's all from Bongles.
Oh, is it? Okay. So this is like a rapid fire.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the question?
Next best Lay's flavor.
Next best? What do you mean? What's the first?
Well, I mean, there's like a million Lay's flavors, and they do that gimmick where they come out with like just ridiculous flavors, like latex glove and stuff.
Oh, like what's the next best one?
Yeah.
Lay's toenails.
Why are you into that, man? That's kind of disturbing.
Have you not seen that?
You want some toenail flavored Lay's?
Yeah. You haven't seen the bag with like the toenails on it?
Give me those peanut butter Lay's, please.
Ew. I don't know. Lay's.
I mean, what have they not done is the question.
They've done dill pickle, right?
They have. I had those a couple days ago.
Lay's, Lay's, I don't know, man. They don't pay me to think of this shit. What do you got?
Something I would realistically want would be
Lay's coffee?
no.
Coffee flavor? A coffee chip could be good, maybe.
I'd eat it. Something that I would really want. Maybe like a steak flavored Lay.
Ugh.
That'd be pretty good.
All the
Or
good
like
ones
fried
are
chicken
taken.
Lays. I feel like they've done fried chicken.
Yeah. They've done like chicken and waffles, I think.
I want a salami flavored Lay chip, please. Swiss cheese flavored Lays.
Lay's beef jerky.
I want a Gouda flavored Lay's chip, please. Mustard. I'd eat mustard chips. Give me some Lays that taste like mustard. That way I don't have to dip them.
Ugh. What are you
I'll eat
saying?
mustard on basically anything.
I mean, I will too, but on a chip?
Yeah, I've dipped Lays in mustard plenty of times.
That's like putting mustard on a potato.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, it's not.
I eat mustard on a potato.
No.
I told you I put it on anything.
Would you put it on mashed potatoes?
I would try it at least. I mean, I can already imagine what it would taste like, and it's not bad.
It's not good, though.
It
It's
might be.
definitely
You never
not
know.
good.
Mashed potato mustard Lays, please.
I got nothing, dude.
That'd be pretty good. Next one is a production company approaches you to make an R-rated sequel to a beloved children's movie. What would you remake and how does it go? Beloved children's movie. Oh boy.
Okay.
Maybe like The Brave Little Toaster or something.
I would do Sandlot.
Okay.
This time, when they encounter the dog again, it just ravages a child. Like it just murders him cold-blooded. This is very
Pretty dark,
dark,
Jacob.
Yes, it is. And then the whole rest of the movie is the dog trying to hunt down the kids while they're trying to find new fields to play games on. And slowly, every field they go to, the dog eventually finds them and kills one of them every time. So they have to keep finding new fields, and eventually they all just die because no one wants to watch baseball anyway.
It's pretty
Pretty dark.
pretty dark plot you got there, Jacob, but it is what it is, I
I would
guess.
watch it though.
Man, beloved children's movie.
Of course,
Why
like
is it-
killing children on a movie is kind of I don't know.
Yeah, let me look up a list real quick.
Yeah, maybe that's a bad example. I got a dark mind.
I mean, realistically, I'd love if the Mulan live action remake was R-rated and brutal and awesome, but with the song still.
Yeah. Let's get down to business.
Maybe they take more of a Watchmen approach with The Incredibles.
That could be cool, yeah. We never see like gruesome, bloody, like, cartoons. We need that. We need more of that. Not just Adult Swim.
Maybe E.T., but he's like a horrible alien that slaughters people. He invades with all the E.T.s. How funny would that be? How funny E.T. looks. E.T. invaders. Taking over the world.
Phone home.
It's pretty vicious. Maybe Babe gets slaughtered by a pack of wolves. That's awful because I love Babe.
Yeah,
The Cat in the Hat with, what's his name? Mike Myers is just a serial killer.
God.
There's a lot here.
Or we could just move on.
Yeah, probably should. Those are some fun ideas, though. Where are we? Almost at the end.
What do you think your favorite character smells like?
Oh, who's my favorite character is the problem. Batman?
Okay.
Probably smells like leather and metallic stuff.
Okay.
Because he wears armor and leather, I believe.
He probably smells a
Primarily.
little sweaty too. He's probably really
Probably a
hot.
little bit. Yeah. Unless he has like built-in like air conditioning
AC,
in his
yeah.
suit or something. Yeah. What do you think, Jacob?
I don't know if I have like just one favorite character. I guess I could go to like Kingdom Hearts and say like Sora. He probably smells like a teenager, He smells all sweaty and greasy. He's probably got he's got to have some kind of product in his hair, the way it sits. Like, I don't know how he does it.
I used to be jealous of that hair as a kid. I always wanted it.
I know. That's one great thing about Japanese games. The characters' hairs are always so ridiculous.
It's always incredible.
Yeah. I go to like at the Office, Michael Scott route. I'm sure he smells like an old man. He probably smells like coffee. He's always drinking coffee in his office.
It's probably what I smell like right now.
He probably has like an odd smell about him. Like you're not quite sure what it is, but it like throws you off and it makes you question like what he does in his free time because he always has this weird smell about him.
Okay.
That's what I imagine.
All right. Well, Jacob, tell me, what Guinness World Record would you like to hold?
I think it'd be cool to hold like the fastest mile run. Because I've become quite the runner lately. And I've always thought like, how fast could I actually run a mile? I think it'd be cool to like actually hold that record. Not that it's like it's not even significant really, but are any records significant? Like, does anyone really care about them that much? I don't know.
Record. What's something that means something to me? Dude, this is hard.
Or maybe like posting the high score in like some game.
Maybe, but I don't really care.
Exactly. Like no one. I don't care about any records. Like,
I never cared about records. Never cared about large sums of money. So I have no idea. Maybe the most Taco Bell consumed in one sitting.
Oh God.
Which I feel like I've come dangerously close to in my lifetime. Maybe the world record for creating the best barbecue sauce on the planet. It's so good that it's a world record. Wow. Like no sauce is ever compared objectively. How about that? I'm pretty passionate about barbecue sauce myself.
The best barbecue sauce ever.
You asking me?
No, I was just saying.
Oh, man, if I had to name my favorites, Fox Bros, their standard barbecue sauce. Both of Dreamland's barbecue sauces, their sweet secret sauce and also their vinegar-based main sauce. Sweet Baby Ray's, of course. I actually love Cookout's barbecue sauces. Amazing. Chick-fil-A I'm down for. Sonny's is pretty good. They have like 4 different sauces at Sonny's. Mix it all into a concoction and eat it like soup. Please. What were your signature looks in high school?
Well, it depends what time of year it was. But winter, it was jeans, tennis shoes, and either a polo or some sort of just, I don't know, t-shirt. I wasn't really.
Yeah, you and I were both very generic looking. Yeah.
Then in the summer, I'd wear like flip-flops, some khaki shorts. And
you're a flop man.
Oh, yeah. I was very big into flip-flops, especially in high school, in my later teen years. But yeah, I wasn't too crazy.
I would be found in either t-shirt and jeans or t-shirt and khaki shorts. Cargo khaki shorts, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So
I never wore like basketball shorts to school. That wasn't
me neither.
Ever my
I never
look.
Did that. I'd say Zach's signature look was pretty much in sweats most of the time, like basketball shorts or like basketball pants primarily.
Yeah. I think that changed his senior year though. I think he started wearing more like jeans and stuff.
Yeah. I remember like sophomore year especially.
I think like once we started to get more into women in school, like we started dressing better.
Yeah, Preston. We didn't go to high school with Preston, so the three of us, me, Zach, and Jacob, had a few classes together throughout our high school career. Good times, man. What's our last one? What did you buy with your very first paycheck?
I have no idea.
I probably bought a game at GameStop or Taco Bell. Definitely.
Yeah, I probably bought some food. It was probably Taco Bell.
The majority of my paychecks probably went to fast food when I was much younger. I think my first job was when I was 15 or 16 at the time. I was a audio and video editor for a nonprofit called Witness to War Foundation. I interviewed primarily World War II veterans, but also other veterans from like Vietnam. It's primarily World War II and Vietnam, but that was a pretty fun job for a while. But yeah, I got paychecks from them monthly and would oftentimes spend it on a video game or fast food.
My first job was a Brewster's ice cream when I was a sophomore in high school, maybe.
I remember that because you could drive before all of us. And I remember Zach and I came to see you once while you were working.
Yep. And then I quit to go to a high school football game. And that's probably where I spent my first money. I probably bought that ticket to go to the game.
You quit to go to the game?
Oh, yeah, it was a Friday night.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, that job sucked.
Nice. I'd say the memory of quitting and going to the game is probably worth it for sure.
Something I would remember more than working there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Ask IOG episode 8. There are plenty more questions we can get to for a follow-up episode, which we will be doing next week. And many more of your questions, if you're wondering why they didn't wind up on this episode, they may wind up on episode 210 of the It's Obvious podcast. But if it's not on this show or that show, it will be on the next episode of Ask IOG, which should be relatively soon because I want to get through them and not keep you guys waiting. But thank you so much for all of you who submitted questions, whether they were years ago or even just this last week. We greatly appreciate it. And we're glad we could finally do another episode of this show. It still exists. Of course, it's been shared if you're listening all over the internet, and share it with your friends if you like, and continue to send us questions if you want more episodes of Ask IOG. Because I think Jacob and I, if we're, what's the word I'm looking for, Jacob? I can't think of it.
I don't know.
I told you, whenever you put me in front of a microphone, my intelligence drops by about like 32 IQ points, unfortunately. But it was an honor. It was a pleasure. We had a lot of fun answering your questions. Hope you guys had a good time with it. And of course, all of these questions are not only meant for Jacob and I, and Preston and Zach, but all of you as well. So any questions you feel like answering in the comments below on YouTube or on Discord, please do so. And hopefully, we can get Preston back in on another episode of this show, including Zach one day. I think it'd be a whole lot of fun to have the four of us do it.
Oh, yeah.
But that's obviously much easier hoped for than done, but we'll keep our fingers crossed on that one. But one last time, thank you guys so much. We love you to bits, and we will catch you on the next episode of Ask IOG or on the It's Obvious podcast. We hope you have a wonderful day, week, month, life. Love you to bits. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yep. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Keep those questions coming.
Goodbye now.
Bye.